Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to WOTS Weekly Features. Today's guest is Susanne Dorder from Kids Esteem Publishing. We'll be talking about the games and the reads that the magazine offers and helping kids develop emotional intelligence. I'm Yelly, and I'll be your host. WOTS Toronto operates on land that is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and the Paytune First Nations, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. This territory is the subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Confederacy of the Anishinaabe and Allied Nations to care for and share the resources around the Great Lakes in peace. We encourage you to educate yourself about the land that you live on, wherever you're tuning in from. So for our guest, Susanne is the founder and the chief editor of Kids Esteem Publishing. She's also a writer and illustrator. She enjoys working with a creative team and strongly believes in collaborative group work. She's worked with children for 20 plus years and practices as a registered psychotherapist for over 10 years. Susanne enjoys providing opportunities that allow children to establish a genuine sense of happiness. How lovely is that? Thank you so much for joining us today, Susanne.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. To get started off, could you tell us a little bit about what Kids Esteem Publishing is and what the mission behind all of that is?
Absolutely, yes. So Kids Esteem Publishing, you said it well, it's to help children to develop. We promote emotional intelligence, positive thinking, and self-care practices. And we do that through the literature and games. We're a new company. We publishes the Kids Esteem magazine. We are also working on writing some stories, and we plan to continue to add that. Our focus will be mental health wellness, that children can develop those valuable tools while enjoying the reads. Yeah.
That's so lovely. I wish that was something that had just been around for longer, because I feel like I've never stumbled upon another, I guess, literary body like that. That's just mission is for emotional intelligence and all those lovely things.
Yes, absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you personally to create all of that?
Yes, well, I describe myself to be a humanitarian. So a humanitarian in many different areas. So I practice psychotherapy, and I've done so for many years. But I also have a humongous creative streak. So the two go well together, because I use a lot of expressive arts in my work when I interact with people. I gain tremendous amounts of satisfaction from guiding people to enhance their self-worth. I'm excited to be doing this through the literature, stories, and some simple games that are being created and being projected out into the community. Yes. As a registered psychotherapist with substantial experience working with children, there being an increase in mental health, especially in the past year, this motivated me to act on my plan. And my plan has always been to somehow reach a larger band of the community, a larger space of the community, and it has been through literature. So our first magazine was released past spring, and we just released our second edition this summer in 2021. Yeah, we've also released a game called Moody's. I think I have it here, and it's really good because it teaches emotional intelligence, positive thinking, and some self-care practices in that as well.
How fun. Was it, how was that process like for you of bridging together the psychotherapy knowledge with the creative side of things?
Yes, it works well. The expressive arts, there's something called expressive arts therapy, and you use a lot of modalities when you're working with people. So you can use drawing, drama, sand play, and then you incorporate that. There's storytelling. So that's helpful for me because my mind is processing that way. And then just to transition that into the literature perspective, like developing games and literatures, and then putting it together with Kids Esteem magazine, it just blends easily for me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Totally. That makes absolute perfect sense. Could could you speak to that importance of teaching kids how to practice self-care at a young age? I've noticed that that is a huge thing for you as well.
Absolutely. It's such a great question. So I'm happy you're asking it. Yeah,
Mhm.
Kids Esteem. So Kids Esteem Publishing, we define self-care as an action that fulfills a person. So the person gets filled up. So that's doing things that people enjoy, something that stimulates a sense of positive energy inside. So self-care can involve anything from what people like to do, from reading, to writing, playing games, socializing, making crafts, uh, just having a relaxing walk, feeling the environment
Mm.
while you're out there. Yeah, so self-care, it stimulates a sense of gratification within a
Yes,
person. Yeah. And then Kids
awesome.
Esteem helps kids to learn that through the activities that they're doing and through self-exploration within the
Mhm.
stories itself.
Awesome. I love that you're doing that as well, because self-care is something that I think a lot of even like grown folks, it's a huge
Yeah,
learning curve to be trained to live your life one way essentially, and then be like, oh, I'm allowed to do things for myself and have that satisfaction and gratification in that way.
absolutely. Yes, it does fill the person up, regardless of
Hmm.
age. So I'm happy you pointed that out. It's not just in childhood, in adult too. Yeah, if you like bike riding, try to get that in there a couple times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Something that you've mentioned, I think, is emotional intelligence. So, could you tell us a little bit about what emotional intelligence means and how you pass that along to kids through your work?
Sure, yes. So again, through Kids Esteem, we define emotional
Mm.
intelligence is for a person to have a sense of awareness, an internal sense of being, knowing who they are as a person. And that includes noticing their emotions, being aware when feelings surface and what those feelings are, recognizing when you're feeling sad, angry, or scared or happy, and knowing what to do with it, right? How to regulate those emotions. So that's very important, and it can be valuable to start learning as a child, because then you'll have those skills and that can help people to cope as they move through difficult life situations. So something as simple as the Moody's, the Kids Esteem games, that has different feeling cards inside, just to identify what emotions are, for them to become aware of, oh, okay, this is happiness, oh, this is sadness, and it's okay
Mm.
because I'm allowed to feel that way. Yeah, so just helping people create that awareness is a valuable tool.
Very cool. Do you, you've mentioned Moody's a couple of times. Do you have any other games or books that you'd like to sort of give a shout out to as well
Oh,
while we're chatting about it?
yeah, I know Moody's is the first card game that we have
Mm.
available on our website, www.kidsesteempublishing.com. And then with time, we'll be establishing, there'll be little journals where children can express their feelings within each of the Moody's sections. So that will be coming out soon. And then our magazines are what we have distributed now. We're a new company, and we
Mm.
launched this year in spring. Spring was our first edition.
Oh,
Yes,
awesome.
those are
Very cool.
available too.
Let's see. Do you have a favorite memory of working with your team, with kids, and developing these resources? What stands out to you?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, so far it's working. To launch the Kids Esteem magazine, I connected with Centennial College. Two of their programs, the children's media and publishing programs, and it was so much joy in working with the students, hearing their creative ideas, seeing their creative work, and how they just help put everything together. So that was tremendous joy for me, to work with a group of students who had so much motivation and energy, and see their excitement to be involved in publications such as Kids Esteem that promote positive thinking, emotional intelligence, and self-care, because then they can take that with them. It's going to have an effect on them somehow as they contribute their work into the fields that they go in. So it was great joy on all levels. I really enjoyed that part.
There must have also been something so special about working with younger folks to create things for kids as
Yes,
well.
lots of ideas and originality, like the thought, the thinking is unique. Yeah.
Hmm. Is there a favorite game or like favorite edition of the magazine that you've put together out of the ones so far?
So I would say there are some characters that I developed. Chuckle and Buckle is so they're a pair. They're best friends, and they move through their stories becoming self-aware of how to help people, how to help themselves, how to give, how to be kind. So you'll find them in each magazine. So I would say they're one of my favorite because they're like what they call affirmation buddies. Like they help people to think positive and how to be kind and develop that awareness we were talking about earlier. That's so it's helpful for self-care practices. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. You mentioned affirmations. Could you, I guess, like maybe on the psychology side, what is the benefit of affirmations specifically? Because that's also a buzzword that you kind of hear around a lot.
Yeah, affirmations. Affirmations are positive sentences, statements that a person says to themselves. For example, I am worthy of pursuing my dream because, and then fill it in, because I am special, because I have the skills, I am gifted. Affirmations, when people talk positive to themselves, it helps to motivate a person, it increases confidence, self-efficacy, positive self-efficacy. So feeling good about oneself, and then that can help drive a person to accomplish and achieve. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm sure that the repetition of that as well is probably helpful.
Yes, repetition is important. Write it out, stick it up on your mirror, put it in your phone as your screensaver. I am worthy of, I am special, I am beautiful. Yeah. And the because is
Absolutely.
important because it gives reason. Yeah.
Cool. What does like kind of related, what does the research process look like when you design all of your games and all of your other content?
Yes, so using a variety of resources is always helpful. So anything from textbooks to existing literature, other children's magazines that are out there to get familiarity and consistency, observing like again the voices of the students that was valuable because they're coming in with their knowledge and their insights. Yeah, so existing research that's already in the field, just looking at what's out there and seeing how you can incorporate that into the stories, into the games that were being developed. Yeah.
Excellent. I noticed from just looking at your website that a huge part of your philosophy is like teaching all of these things through play. And that really stood out to me. I loved seeing that. Could you speak a little bit about this idea of play and learning all of these things through play specifically?
Absolutely. Yeah. Play is fun. So
Mm-hmm.
play is a fun action. It's exciting to engage in. So if you're having fun while you're learning, it helps to reinforce the lesson that's being taught. So it makes a person would retain it easier. And play can be an easier way um, to explore maybe things that are unknown. So maybe, for example, if someone's not too familiar with their feelings or emotions, instead of sitting there trying to teach what emotions are, just engage in play through a card game or through like writing a story about what emotions are. That can help make the learning more fun and easier, yeah, to process and
Mm-hmm.
comprehend, yeah, conceptualize better.
Absolutely. Um, Do you have any hopes for the future of the magazine? What are your hopes and dreams in terms of the future?
Yeah, so the hopes and dreams is for Kids Esteem magazine to get out there, for families to become aware of it so that they can purchase one for their children. The hope is that the children and families can read the knowledge, retain it, and be guided to develop the skills of positive thinking, self-care practices, yeah, and develop emotional intelligence. So the hope is for what I do in my practice just to be expanded to a larger audience and more through play. It's not necessarily a therapeutic approach. It's more literature. It's a way of playing and learning through reading stories. Yeah. So to get that out there. Yeah. To get it out there.
I think that like the idea of play seems so accessible almost, because like you said, therapeutic and therapy can sometimes be a little bit scary for kids specifically, but play is it's so fun. Like you said, it's something we know and love already.
Yes. It's familiar. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you, I guess kind of on the more logistics side, do you have any advice for somebody who wants to maybe launch their own project like this or their own business like this? What advice would you have given yourself at the start of all of this?
Connect with the team. Maybe find some people who have the same interest as you do and go for it. Take the step to start creating and putting everything together, and where you can just put it out there. Yeah. So start doing, because many times we have thoughts, we have plans, but then it's the action where things get delayed. And so connecting with the team can help people to move forward and execute their plan. Yeah. So get connected. Have a social circle while you're doing it.
Awesome. Very cool. That almost sounds like an affirmation in and of itself, is to start doing. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are there any like resources or any books, movies, TV shows, anything out there that you would recommend that are doing similar things to yourself? Or do you find that you're kind of breaking into this new space?
Yeah, there are other children's magazines that are out in the community. If you go to Indigo chapters, you can see them as well. And incorporated into some children's books and stories, there are lessons of care and positive thinking. But I would say our niche is very specific to developing emotional wellness and emotional well-being. Yeah. I hope, if that made sense. Yeah, I'd say we're unique. We're unique in terms of mental health and wellness, in that being our primary focus, compared to other content that's out there into the community. Where they have different focuses for their publications.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Kind of fun question. Seeing that you're in that kids space, do you remember any TV shows or anything in the media, again, that you loved when you were a kid that had a positive benefit on you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember so many. The first one that came to my mind was the Smurfs. So the Smurfs was something I used to watch. Was little dwarfs that lived in a village in the forest, a magical forest. So they would go around and just a lot of socializing, and some of them would have specific characters like Brainy, Vanity. Then they would just be that character in the definition that they were. Another cartoon that I remember quite well was the Care Bears. Yeah, so the Care Bears lived up in the cloud. They were different colored bears, and whenever there was a situation on the planet, because they were up in the cloud, they would come down and they would do their caring. And each bear had their different way of caring, and they would care by action, and then they had this magic power where a beam would shoot out of their stomach, and the caring would just help the children to accomplish what would help them. So those are two that come to mind. Yeah, comics were an enjoyable media for me when I was younger.
How fun. That must be so lovely to just create and be in that space almost.
Yeah.
As a job. Sounds amazing.
It is fun. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to add that maybe you remembered that you wanted to say but didn't, or didn't mention?
Yeah. So one thing I'll say is In terms of teaching self-care, I just want to go back to that because I thought that was a really good question. It's so valuable and it can help so many people just to develop that interpersonal sense of awareness. One of the greatest lessons in teaching self-care is through observation. So it's not isolated to children, but children watch their parents, their caregivers, whoever that primary person authority is in their life, So yeah, by caring for yourself and engaging in those acts as an adult, as a caregiver, a parent, you're teaching your children how to do that because they're watching you. So I just wanted to add that. I forgot to add that. Yeah.
I love that. That's so valuable.
And I encourage everybody to check out the website, kidsesteempublishing.com, and to, prescribe to, it's a quarterly publication that's coming out. It's great to have around. Yeah.
Yay, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've had a lovely chat. It's been so much fun.
Likewise. Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, everyone, to find out more about Kids Esteem Publishing and to subscribe, go to kidsesteempublishing.org. This has been today's WOTS Weekly Feature. Tune in tomorrow where we'll be chatting with Ivy Wong from the Ripple Foundation. For discounts and deals, check out toronto.thewordonthestreet.ca/weekly-features. And before we head out today, we have a special little surprise. We've got a video from our friends at Biblio Video, an online space for all things Canadian youth literature, all the good stuff. So stay tuned for that. And from all of us at WOTS, happy reading.